There was a time in my life when things simply were not working. For the first 6 years of my economic journey, I found myself at the bottom, broke, frustrated, confused, and searching for answers I didn't yet understand. Then, something shifted. In the following 6 years, everything changed. I went from struggling to thriving, from surviving to building real success. And what made that difference wasn't luck, it wasn't connections, and it certainly wasn't overnight magic. It was something far more powerful and far more within reach. It was personal development. Now, when I first heard that phrase, it didn't mean much to me. It sounded like something people say when they don't have real advice. But I learned very quickly, it is the foundation of everything. Every result you see in your life, every success, every failure, every opportunity gained or missed, it all ties back to who you are becoming.
At the age of 25, I met someone who challenged me in a way no one ever had before. He didn't give me comfort. He didn't give me excuses. He gave me truth. And truth, when you're not ready for it, can feel like a shock. I remember complaining about my income. I said, "This is all they pay." He looked at me and calmly said, "No, that's all you're worth." That hit me hard. I tried again. I said, "Well, things cost too much." He replied, "No, you can't afford it." That was a new way of thinking for me, a painful one, because up until that moment, I had spent years blaming everything outside of myself. The economy, the job market, my background, other people's circumstances. It was easier that way. It protected my ego. It allowed me to stay comfortable in my situation without taking responsibility. But comfort is dangerous because comfort keeps you stuck. Letting go of that blame, it wasn't easy. It felt like going through withdrawal, like giving up something addictive. Because excuses can be addictive. They give you temporary relief without requiring real change. But the moment I started to shift my focus inward instead of outward, everything began to transform. I realized something powerful. The problem wasn't out there. The problem was in here. And that realization became the beginning of a completely new life. I wrote this down, and I want you to remember it. The major value in life is not what you get. The major value in life is what you become. Most people go to work asking, "What am I getting here?" But the real question is, what am I becoming here? Because what you become determines what you attract. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. Think about that for a moment. If you want better opportunities, you must become better. If you want stronger relationships, you must become stronger. If you want more success, more influence, more income, you must become the kind of person who naturally attracts those things. You don't chase success like you chase a butterfly, because the harder you chase, the more it slips away. Instead, you grow into someone that success is drawn to. If you want disciplined people in your life, become disciplined. If you want powerful people around you, become powerful. If you want committed people, become committed. It all starts with you. And then came one of the most powerful ideas I've ever heard. If you will change, everything will change for you. Not might change, not could change, will change. If you change your mindset, your results change. If you change your habits, your future changes. If you change your discipline, your income changes. If you change your attitude, your relationships change. The world doesn't need to change first. You do. And once I accepted that, I stopped waiting for conditions to improve. I stopped waiting for people to act differently. I stopped waiting for the perfect moment. I started working on myself. Now here's where it gets even more important. Life operates in seasons. Just like nature, your life follows a rhythm. And if you don't understand that rhythm, you'll constantly feel confused, frustrated, and overwhelmed. You cannot change the seasons. Winter will come. No matter how positive you are, no matter how prepared you think you are, there will be winters in your life, financial winters, emotional winters, personal winters, times when things feel cold, difficult, and uncertain. And here's the mistake people make. They try to avoid winter. You can't. But what you can do is prepare for it, endure it, and grow through it. Winter is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to develop you. In winter, you have a choice. You can complain, or you can grow stronger. You can break down, or you can build yourself up. You can become bitter, or you can become better. Those are always the two options. You can get wiser, you can get stronger, you can get better. And anyone can do that. You don't need special talent. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need permission. You just need the decision to improve. I remember the first time I tried speaking in front of people. I stood up and nothing came out. My mind froze. My body shook. My knees felt like they would collapse. It was fear at its purest form. But I didn't stop. I tried again and again and again. Over time, I got better. Not because I was naturally gifted, but because I refused to stay the same. And that's the key. You don't have to stay the same. You are not stuck. You are not fixed. You can change your habits, your mindset, your direction, your future, anytime you decide to. You are not a machine programmed to repeat the same life over and over. You are a human being with the power of choice. And that changes everything. So when winter comes, and it will, don't wish it away. Don't complain about it. Don't let it defeat you. Use it. Use it to grow. Use it to become stronger than you were before. Because after every winter comes spring. Spring always follows winter. It has for thousands of years, and it will continue long after we're gone. That's one of the most powerful truths you can hold on to. No matter how harsh the winter feels, no matter how long it seems to last, it will not stay forever. There is a shift coming. There is a change coming. There is always a new beginning waiting on the other side of difficulty. And that new beginning is called opportunity. Spring is the season of opportunity. But here's what most people misunderstand. Just because opportunity arrives doesn't mean success is guaranteed. Opportunity does not automatically produce results. It only gives you a chance. And what you do with that chance determines everything. You must learn to take advantage of the spring, not admire it, not talk about it, not wait for the perfect moment within it, but act on it. Because opportunity has a window, and that window does not stay open forever. Too many people wait. They hesitate. They overthink. They analyze every possibility until the moment passes them by. And then they look back with regret, saying, I should have tried, or I almost did something great. Almost does not count. Spring is not the time for hesitation. It's the time for action. You have to plant. You have to move. You have to start. Because if you miss the season, you don't get another chance immediately. You have to wait for the cycle to come around again. And life is too short to keep missing your seasons. So when opportunity shows up in your life, whether it's a new idea, a new connection, a new job, a new direction, you must seize it. Not perfectly, but decisively. There's a powerful balance you must understand here. You should not be frantic, but you must be urgent. There's a difference. Frantic means chaotic, rushed, disorganized. Urgency means focused, intentional, aware that time matters. And time does matter, because the window of opportunity does not stay open forever. Think about it like this. There are moments in your life that define everything. Moments where you either act or hesitate. Moments where you either step forward or step back. And those moments often don't feel dramatic. They don't come with warning signs or loud announcements. They come quietly, disguised as small decisions. A phone call you could make, a skill you could learn, a risk you could take, a habit you could build. And in that moment, you decide your future. So when spring arrives, don't waste it. Work while it's time. Move while you can. Plant while the soil is ready. Because after spring comes summer, and summer is a different kind of season. Summer is not about starting, it's about protecting what you started. It's about nurturing what you planted. It's about defending what you're building. Because once you begin to grow something valuable in your life, your goals, your habits, your progress, there will be forces that try to take it away. Some of those forces are obvious. Distractions, negative people, bad environments, poor influences, but some of them are subtle. And the subtle ones are the most dangerous. Because they don't look like enemies at first. They look like comfort. They look like delay. They look like, I'll do it tomorrow. They look like small compromises that don't seem like a big deal. But over time, they destroy everything. Just like a garden. When you plant seeds, you don't just walk away and expect everything to grow perfectly. You must protect it. Because weeds will come, bugs will come, threats will come. And if you don't defend your garden, it will be taken over. Your life works the same way. You must nourish your values. You must feed your discipline. You must strengthen your habits. But at the same time, you must fight your enemies. And here's something very important to understand. Not all enemies are outside of you. Some of the most dangerous enemies are within you: doubt, fear, procrastination, laziness, negative thinking, excuses. These are internal enemies, and they are far more destructive than anything external. Because when the enemy is outside, you can see it. You can prepare for it. You can defend against it. But when the enemy is inside, it feels like you. It sounds like your own voice. It tells you things like, you're not ready. You're not good enough. You've failed before. You'll fail again. It's too late for you. Other people can do it, but not you. And if you don't challenge those thoughts, they become your reality. That's why you must learn to fight within. You must take control of your mind. You must refuse to let doubt dominate your thinking. You must refuse to let fear dictate your actions. You must become stronger than your excuses, because if you don't, they will quietly destroy your progress. You don't need to eliminate fear completely. You just need to make sure it doesn't control you. You don't need to eliminate doubt completely. You just need to keep it in a small corner, because doubt will always exist. Fear will always exist. Worry will always exist. But they should not lead your life. You lead your life. And sometimes that means being strict with yourself. It means holding yourself accountable. It means saying no to your own bad habits. It means being disciplined when you don't feel like it. Because success is not built on feelings. It's built on discipline. And discipline is what protects everything you build. Now let's talk about something else that quietly destroys people: complaining. Complaining is one of the most destructive habits you can have. It drains your energy. It weakens your mindset. It pushes people away. And worst of all, it keeps you stuck. Because when you complain, you focus on what's wrong instead of what you can do. You give your power away. You blame circumstances instead of taking responsibility. And responsibility is where your power lives. You must learn to take full responsibility for your life. Your results are yours. Your progress is yours. Your failures are yours. And that might sound harsh, but it's actually empowering, because if it's your responsibility, it means you can change it. If it's someone else's responsibility, you're stuck waiting for them. But if it's yours, you can act, you can improve, you can grow, and you can change your future. So don't complain about your situation. Build your way out of it. Don't blame your circumstances. Strengthen yourself within them. Because every season is working for you if you understand how to use it. Winter builds you. Spring gives you opportunity. Summer tests your discipline. And then comes harvest. And then comes the season that everyone waits for. Harvest. This is the moment where everything comes together. The results, the outcomes, the rewards of what you've been doing through winter, spring, and summer. It's the season where life finally asks you one simple question: what did you do with what you were given? Because harvest doesn't lie. It doesn't exaggerate. It doesn't make excuses. It simply reflects. Whatever you planted, whatever you nurtured, whatever you protected or neglected will show up in the harvest. And that truth is both powerful and uncomfortable. Because in this season, you cannot blame anyone else. You can't point to the economy. You can't point to your past. You can't point to other people. The harvest belongs to you. If you planted discipline, you'll harvest results. If you planted consistency, you'll harvest growth. If you planted excuses, you'll harvest regret. And that's why one of the most important lessons in life is this: learn to reap your harvest without complaint. It's your crop. You either planted it or you didn't. You either did the work or you avoided it. You either stayed consistent or you gave in to distraction. And whatever shows up, you must own it. Because the moment you take full responsibility, you take back control. There was a time when I didn't understand this. I used to think my paycheck depended on the company, the market, the economy. I thought external factors controlled my results. But then I learned something that changed everything. Your income is not determined by your job. It's determined by your value. And your value is determined by who you become. So if you want more, you must become more. Not wish for more. Not wait for more. Become more. That's where the shift happens. And this is where most people struggle, because it's easier to complain than to change. Complaining feels justified. It feels like you're expressing something real. But in reality, it's one of the fastest ways to destroy your future. Because complaining keeps you focused on what's wrong instead of what's possible. It weakens your mindset, it drains your energy, and it slowly erodes your belief in yourself. There's an old story about people who were given a chance at freedom. They were taken out of struggle, given a path forward, and all they had to do was keep moving. But instead, they complained. They complained about the conditions. They complained about the process. They complained about the difficulty. And eventually they lost the opportunity completely. Why? Because complaining replaced gratitude. And when gratitude disappears, progress stops. You must guard against that because complaining is subtle. It starts small, a little frustration here, a little negativity there. But over time, it becomes your mindset. And once it becomes your mindset, it shapes your life. So instead of complaining, choose responsibility. Instead of blaming, choose growth. Instead of focusing on what's missing, focus on what you can build. Because harvest is not just a result, it's a reflection of your identity. It shows you who you've become. And if you don't like what you see, that's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new cycle. Because after harvest, the seasons begin again. That's the beauty of life. You always get another chance to improve, another chance to plant better seeds, another chance to become stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. But only if you're willing to learn, only if you're willing to change, only if you're willing to take action. And that brings us to something deeper, because understanding the seasons is powerful, but it's not enough. You must act. Action is what turns knowledge into results. You can listen to ideas all day. You can feel inspired for a moment. You can say, that makes sense. But if you don't act, nothing changes. The world doesn't reward intention. It rewards execution. You must do something with what you know. You must apply it. You must live it. Because action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without action, everything remains a dream. With action, everything becomes possible. And here's the truth. Action is not always comfortable. In fact, most of the time it isn't. It requires effort. It requires discipline. It requires pushing through resistance. But that's where growth happens. That's where transformation happens. That's where your life begins to change. You don't need to do everything at once. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. One decision, one habit, one action, and then another, and then another. Because small actions, repeated consistently, create massive results over time. That's how success is built, not in one moment, but in many small moments stacked together. So now the question becomes simple. What are you going to do next? Not tomorrow, not someday, now. What will you change? What will you improve? What will you commit to? Because your future is not something that happens to you. It's something you create with your decisions, with your actions, with your discipline. You have the ability to rewrite your story. You have the ability to become someone new. You have the ability to build a life that reflects your true potential. But it starts with a choice, a real choice, not just words, not just intentions, but a decision backed by action, a decision that says, I will change, I will grow, I will improve, no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult it feels, no matter how many times I have to start again. Because that's what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not background. It's commitment. It's discipline. It's the willingness to keep going, even when it's hard, even when it's slow, even when no one is watching. And if you can develop that, if you can build that within yourself, then there is no limit to what you can achieve. Because success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. So become stronger, become wiser, become more disciplined, become more focused, become more committed, and watch how your life begins to change, one season at a time.